DonInLondon, hello. August 29th. Bank holiday Monday in UK. Sunshine, just now. And Notting Hill Carnival's going on. It's the adults' day, so goodness knows what's going to happen. And thank goodness New York didn't suffer more damage, although some people on the eastern seaboard of the United States did. So thoughts and feelings of well-being and hope for those who are still dealing with those issues. My videos, all about recovery from addiction to either substance or behaviour, or both. My addictive substance, alcohol, and my behaviour could be addictive around people, places and things. Trying to be in the right place, with the right people, doing the right things. And hurricanes always remind me of a time when I ran away for a year because I just didn't know how to cope with life. And I ended up in a Caribbean country, living in a villa. All the trappings of goodness knows what. But it was a very, very economical time for me. It was cheaper to live there than in London, UK. And I experienced a hurricane, and it was a category 5. Unfortunately, I was living in a concrete block. But the story is long, and it's difficult to relate, really, other than to say that if I were in a hurricane now, I wouldn't be surrounded by bottles of 150 proof rum to see me through the problem. So no longer in a problem today, in a solution where I'm in recovery from being an alcoholic, or rather, I'm an alcoholic in recovery, or a recovering alcoholic. I don't care what label you give me, it doesn't matter to me. I'm sober today, and that's all that matters, so I can practice being open, honest and willing to live life as it is, rather than fear life like I used to, and no longer driven to try to be with the right people in the right places doing the right things. I do concede, I did try very hard, trying to be perfect so that you would like me. It didn't work that way. I think I became a pain in the neck, well it certainly was for me. So these days I like being with people, places and things, whatever they happen to be, most often sober people in meetings where I get understanding of what ailed me, what was wrong with me, and what the solution is just for today. And the meetings I go to are meetings of Alcoholics Anonymous, a fellowship, and I'm very glad I can go to fellowship meetings because it helps me keep sober one day at a time. Bank holidays round here, some of the meetings are closed because the venues are shut, which means that some meetings are going to be very crowded over the next few hours as people come back from their holidays, as people come back to London, as people just want a meeting to get some sanity when the world can be quite mad. So Kensington and Chelsea, Notting Hill, a carnival, lots going on there no doubt. It's probably booming away as I speak. And I'm glad to be where I am, just in my home, just shutting off my email to stop noises off, and reflect on what may make life work today. So fellowship is critical, or has been critical, to my sobriety and how to get sober. I don't speak for anybody in the fellowship of AA, never can, never will, because each and every person is equal. We are all trusted servants, and there are no leaders who instruct us as to what to do. So there are no rules, laws or regulations which bind us. We are open, honest and willing to develop our sobriety in unity, service and recovery. And we all observe unity, service and recovery as we understand it. And that will become very important as this video goes on. Anyway, what is AA? What does it do for me? I'll share the AA preamble of this little card here on the back, and it also has the 12 steps for me to live well, 12 principles and 12 traditions which hold the fellowship together in unity, service and recovery. And on the back of it has the Serenity Prayer, which I shall share at the end of this video, explaining why it is so important for me to really say it and mean it. It's not a recitation, it's not to be recited just because it's at the end of a meeting or the end of a video. It has absolute value and worth in any moment to me. So AA. Alcoholics Anonymous is a fellowship of men and women who share their experience, strength and hope with each other, that they may solve their common problem and help others to recover from alcoholism. The only requirement for membership is a desire to stop drinking. There are no dues or fees for AA membership. We are self-supporting through our own contributions. AA is not allied with any sect, denomination, politics, organisation or institution. Does not wish to engage in any controversy, neither endorses nor opposes any causes. Our primary purpose is to stay sober and help other alcoholics to achieve sobriety. And there is no one particular type of personality that goes to AA, except the alcoholic personality may be, the person who cannot stop drinking or has a desire to stop drinking. And this is important. A desire to stop drinking is applicable to anyone from any background or any sort of affiliation. And the important thing is that everybody has the same size voice, an equal voice to raise and share experience, strength and hope. So whether you're a person with no home, like I was for some years, homeless and potless, penniless, all those things, whether you have other ailments. I have a couple of chronic ailments besides, and I'm pleased to say sobriety made it possible to live long enough to get them. Rich, poor, different backgrounds, different religious beliefs, different politics, we all come to AA, but the fellowship does not support anything other than sobriety. So we may share about our backgrounds and where we come from and why it's important to be sober. We share experience, strength and hope based on reality, the reality of our situation and what's going on. So we hear lots about background, and we try to put that aside and listen to the message of what it's like to be sober and how to stay sober. Even when everybody around us is having a carnival and quite drunk and probably blitzed or spangled on something or other. Yeah, so there we are, fellowship full of unique, authentic people from so many different backgrounds. You'll always hear somebody somewhere with a story like yours and a background like yours. And I've been a road sweeper through to sitting in the boardroom helping executives deal with their particular conundrums of life. And believe you me, there is no difference if you're an alcoholic, other than you may be sitting on a park bench in your living room in luxury, or you may be sitting on a park bench in the middle of nowhere with the luxury of isolation and nobody to get in between you and alcohol or whatever that substance may be. We all get to a place of rock bottom isolation, I guess, where we don't want to admit what is wrong with us. So the program suggests maybe admit at first that you are powerless over alcohol, and if you keep on drinking, life will remain unmanageable and we feel more like checking out than carrying on. And that's how I felt. I kept on waking up even though I didn't want to, seeking more oblivion and just hoping that I wouldn't wake up. That's the horror of where my alcoholism took me. Anyway, I'm very lucky because, as I say, being around a bit, it doesn't mean I'm a better example or a worse example than anybody else. It means I've managed to live with a sober head and experience life on life's terms, reality, the truth of now. And I can't imagine I don't know how I ever thought it would be possible to stop. I just knew I couldn't do it on my own and I needed help. So in the end, the fellowship of AA came into my life, not because I desired it, but because I was pushed into it. And I really am grateful this happened. My sister pushed me in through the door and said, go in there and sort yourself out. And it took quite a while to understand that it was okay to be an alcoholic and then try and do something about it, rather than hide away with guilt and shame that I couldn't control me or anything. Indeed, the greatest gift has been learning how to be powerless over everything, that I am powerless pretty much, and in that, not trying to control anything, manipulate anything, the gift of freedom to choose my next step. and I choose sobriety, and then the next step I learn as I go along. So I share here some of the wisdom from the fellowship, from this book, this one, which is one of many. But this one's daily reflections, 1 page a day. It covers the 12-step principles or 12-step program for an individual to learn how to be open, honest and willing. That's all. Open, honest and willing to meet life on life's terms. And 12 traditions, which are about, as I said before, unity, service and recovery. So it's important that the understanding we come to around these principles, for me they're timeless. They seem to work in any situation or environment, whatever's going on. Providing I observe these principles, life is reasonably livable. Sometimes it's more than livable, and sometimes it's just as horrible as it used to be, because one of my other chronic conditions is clinical depression. But at the moment it's not getting me down too much, and I do get professional help for that. And the other condition, type 1 diabetes, caused by the extraction of one tooth and then getting an infection and a virus which switched off my insulin production. So we get things in sobriety like anybody else. Goodness knows what else is going to come next. It could be anything. But today, if I'm sober, I've got a better opportunity to deal with it and ask for help. That was the key, asking for help. And it took me a long time to get there. I thought I had to stand on my own 2 feet, put on a brave face, have a stiff upper lip, as we say in the UK, and endure my addiction, or endure life as it turned out. Absolutely horrible and unmanageable. So these days it's not, just one day at a time. And if it starts to get unmanageable, I phone a friend, I ask for help. And that's not because I'm weak, it's because I realise 2 heads are better than 1 often, or the many voices I hear in the meetings of AA help me find a sober path just for today. So today's reading is particularly important to me because it touches on a subject which is always a touchy subject when we're trying to get well. We may have been to our doctor, our priest, a counsellor, a psychiatrist, to try and work out what it is that makes us drink and how to stop. And that's the issue of anonymity. Now, if we go to a doctor, a priest, a counsellor or a psychiatrist, we are afforded the luxury of confidentiality. And the same is true in fellowship. Within the fellowship we remain anonymous if we choose to be. And it's a choice. It must be a choice always, in all these respects. If it's an edict or a rule or a law or a regulation, we are more likely to rebel against it. But still, maybe I rebel in a way which is either helpful to me or unhelpful. I don't know. Usually it's helpful, but you'll see what I mean when I read out the reading for today. And I have sort of half yes, half no to it. AA Daily Reflection. I choose anonymity, and this is for August 29, so you can find it in the Daily Reflection book, and you can also find it online as well. I choose anonymity. We are sure that humility expressed by anonymity is the greatest safeguard that Alcoholics Anonymous can ever have. So it says, we are sure that humility, and this for me is a sort of equality with everyone, humility is the ability to keep on learning and making mistakes without the shame and guilt associated with failure. So humility expressed by anonymity is the greatest safeguard that Alcoholics Anonymous can ever have. So anonymity in fellowship, anonymity affords people the opportunity to find out their truth. So within fellowship, anonymity as a principle affords the opportunity to find out the truth of who I am, or you are, today. So anonymity in fellowship. It's about not telling tales about other people. But the angle here is about if we remain anonymous, or anonymity is a spiritual key. it means that nobody is going out there and saying this is why fellowship works on one part of it, but also that we are not spokespersons for AA. So I always say, I don't speak for AA, I speak for myself. I cannot speak for you, I can only speak for me. So I understand why anonymity is important. Equally, but more profoundly important, well, it's not equal, more profoundly important is the truth of who I am. So if I claim anonymity and say I'm sober because I'm just sober, I just prefer not to drink, takes away something from me, takes away something of my truth. So truth is important to me. Truth of now is my spiritual connection to life. Everything is spiritual in the moment of now. And if I can be there in truth, open, honest and willing, then I feel okay. So anonymity can be misunderstood, and it can be used against people who don't want to be out there sharing the truth of who they are around their recovery. And of course that is absolutely sacrosanct, because gossip kills people. Anyway, it goes on to say, since there are no rules in AA, and this is something I always emphasise, there are no rules, regulations or laws. Simply we go to AA because we have a desire to stop drinking, and it does something for us. I place myself where I want to be, and so I choose anonymity, and I needed anonymity to cope with my own closed down, dishonest and unwilling way of living, because I would deny the truth of me, even to myself, just to try and fit in. And that's what I did all my life. I want my God to use me humbly as one of his tools in this program, and for me it's about good conscience and sharing and being a part of and trying to help other people just by being a friend in fellowship, and anything else which may be possible to do if I have the ability to do it. Sacrifice is the art of giving of myself freely, allowing humility to replace my ego. And part of humility is saying, I don't know, I need to learn how. And if somebody asks me, what do you think about this? I say I may have an opinion, but it may not be true. You know, a belief, an opinion, is not necessarily truth. And ego is something that I used to use to cover up fear, shame, guilt, all those negative feelings about me. So these days I'd rather not feel shame and guilt, and I also know that secrets will keep me stuck. With sobriety I suppress that urge to cry out to the world, I am a member of AA. And actually I don't suppress it, I am a member of AA, and the world knows it, and either people judge me as trying to learn and be sober, or people will judge me and say, don't want to know that person for whatever reason, it's their judgment. The ego, if I just went around saying I'm sober and I want to become a counsellor or a writer without mentioning why I am sober, I think that would be a bigger crime against humanity than admitting the truth of who I am and what I do to keep sober. And this is why it's important. With sobriety I suppress the urge to cry out to the world, I am a member of AA and I experience inner joy and peace. Well, sometimes I do, but the other side of it is life can be crap. So when it's crap, I need to go to meetings more often to tell people I'm feeling awful. I let people see the changes in me and hope they will ask what happened to me. Well, that never happened round here because everybody knew my situation. But that's not an excuse. What would be worse is if people said, you look well, how's life? And I said, it's fine. And, well, how did you stop drinking? We see a difference in you. They said, well, it's just down to life, isn't it? That's a denial of what got me well. I let people see the changes in me and hope they will ask what has happened to me. I place the principles of spirituality ahead of judging, fault-finding and criticism. I want love and a caring in my group so I can grow. So I place the principle of spirituality ahead of judging, fault-finding and criticism. And as I've just said, spirituality for me is living the truth of now. So how it got turned upside down for me, or very, very unhelpful, was saying you need to remain anonymous, not tell people what's going on or how you got sober, because you're using it as a device to make something of it. And the answer is I'm not. Because if people know the truth of me, they listen because I'm telling the truth. If I don't share and there's something missing in my story, they will tumble that there is something not quite right about this man, because he's not the way he used to be, which was as truthful as he could be, and drunk, and now not drunk and not truthful. So it's a personal issue. Spiritual is truth, love, wisdom. Truth, love and wisdom in the moment of now. Anonymity affords the opportunity to find out what the truth is and then live it. That's how fellowship worked for me. So I cannot claim any responsibility for a program which works for me. It's entirely down to a bunch of people who've worked out 12 good principles and pretty much 12 good traditions. But I do know that secrets will keep me stuck, and secrets will keep other people stuck in my life. And if we take anonymity to the point where we don't tell family, or we don't tell X, Y and Z, but it's important they know something about why we are the way we are. The greatest gift given to humanity, to live open, honest and willing with truth. What a gift. If we don't share about it in a constructive way, we're not saying it's all going to be good. We're going to say it's just going to be good or bad as life is. But with a clear head, we learn more with humility, and life keeps on rolling along. So, anonymity as you choose to be, and it's always as you choose to see it for yourself, how fellowship works for you. So if I see you on the street and I know you're in fellowship, I don't say, hello fellowship member of AA. I might just nod, acknowledging they exist, because that's as much as they want, and that's what I've learned they want. Or we may have a conversation all about everything to do with our day. So closeness, openness, honesty and willingness enables, in the nicest possible way, friendship. And behind friendship and fellowship, the whole thing runs on love. How to love, be loved and useful. Goodness me, what a revelation. Because I only thought you could love me if I could give you something worthwhile. And I mean that in a material sense as much as emotional sense. And I always believed that people would treat me as I treated them. Or they were coming to the party with the same set of values, that is, to be equal. And I make huge mistakes around that, because people aren't generally the same in their principles and values and how they get on with life, because life has taught them a different way to behave. So anonymity in some respects is as important as anything. It's a place sacrosanct where you can find out who you are, Alcoholics Anonymous, and then what you choose to do about anonymity. I don't get any personal gain out of doing this. I've realised that over the years. The only people who worry about anonymity are those in fellowship. Those outside fellowship couldn't give a damn. And they're more open to understanding. If I say to a person, the reason why I'm sober today is because I'm in recovery and I go to a fellowship which helps me keep sober, they may think, oh, well that guy's got something going for it. He's keeping on learning, he's doing something new. And that can be an asset. But if it's seen as a liability by the other person, who says, oh, not so sure about him, I don't want to know him, I'm grateful, because if they don't want to know me, they're not going to be in my life. And that's not arrogance, it's just acceptance of some people just don't want to know me. And that's fine. And I mean that in the nicest possible way. It's okay to follow your path, inside or outside the rooms of AA. alcoholic or non-alcoholic. People are free to choose. Well, what I've learned in fellowship is open, honest and willing, unity, service and recovery keep me open to learning and having humility. And I wouldn't want that taken away from anybody. It's a key element for me in my life. Truth of now, so I can see it with a clear head. Anyway, coming back to today, and some of my other thoughts from other years too. So this morning, Bank Holiday Monday, less meetings of fellowship today as some venues for meetings are closed. Good news, any meeting close to home is likely to be full of people I know. A chance to say hello and catch up just for today. And it is like that because I go to so many different meetings all over the place. I may only see one person for a little while and then not see them for months. But the incidence of seeing them may be greater tonight because the two big meetings I may go to, one or the other. And lots of people are coming back from holidays as August comes to an end. Some mad as hatters, driven insane by holiday escapades. Some so chilled out they are horizontal, they're laid back and they're just chilled. And they may just be so happy and blissful, nothing is going to impact on them tonight or today. Some angry and resentful because the holidays didn't turn out the way they thought they may. Expectations are very high when we go on holiday, and even the smallest thing can make us angry and resentful. And the trouble is, with a person like me with addictive background, resentments can grow and grow and grow. And what do people do when they're on holiday and about to go home? The plane's late, the plane's cancelled, it didn't have enough sun, food was horrible, I got tummy ache, or even worse, the children wouldn't behave, the children behaved but I behaved badly, I can't stand not being able to get to a meeting, all those sorts of things go on. So, some angry and resentful, mostly serene as the meetings start. And it's as the meetings start, we've had a bellyache with our friends or just shared how cool we feel. The preamble starts why we are here, to learn more about life and what's been going on. And then sharing, and then a prayer to truth, love and wisdom for today, which is the Serenity Prayer, which is about facing reality, life on life's terms. But I'll be sharing the Serenity Prayer at the end. So today, Bank Holiday, a good day to be me. I feel okay, and the sun's still holding up and it's midday. Yes, August 2008 to 2010. I'll put in brackets, in inverted commas rather, since there are no rules in AA. Which means if you're new to the idea of coming to AA, nobody's going to tell you what to do. And if they do start doing that, find somebody else to talk to. Truth, love and wisdom learned, key to living openly. Yeah, truth, love and wisdom is learned, key to living openly. Open, honest and willing to face the consequences of who I am today. Sober life has taught me to accept the consequences of not only of my attitudes and behaviour, but those of others too. So sometimes people can be doing their worst. It feels like their worst, but it's the best they can be right now. Talk to the person in the queue waiting for an aeroplane. Talk to the person behind someone who's just pushed in line in a supermarket. Talk to the person who says, I'm not leaving my home even if there is a hurricane coming, and how they are responding. But for me, sober life has taught me to accept the consequences not only of my attitudes and behaviour, but those of others too. No secrets to keep me or you deluded or stuck, one day at a time. So if you know who I am, where I'm coming from, what I do, you can say yes or no to me, and fine, it works because those people who say yes, we make a relationship, hopefully, friends or whatever it may be. Or if they say no, that's equally fine, because what's the point in struggling to be something to somebody else, or for them trying to be something, holding back and saying, well, I'll tolerate him even though he's an alcoholic. I'd rather you didn't tolerate me. If you have a prejudice against me, don't tolerate me. That way we don't have to be tolerating each other, but we don't have to get in each other's faces either. And I don't mind. But you know, mind over matter. The old joke was, I don't mind and you don't matter. But these days, I don't mind and you do matter. And what I believe that it's fine for people to get on if they can. But if there's a reason why people don't want to get on, it's a free choice. Must be. Otherwise, what's the point? Yes, anonymity in fellowship offers confidentiality. Anonymity to find the truth of who I am and can be a day at a time. Truth is my spiritual compass. Truth the foundation of my spiritual living, or spiritual living per se. I think it's true. Truth is the greatest gift we can give to another human being. The horrible truth of addiction back then locked me into secrecy. Truth today liberates not just me, but everyone who knows me today. And that's not being arrogant, it's just saying, I like to be me. I need to be me, open, honest and willing, living life and sharing in a helpful way, hopefully. But it is always the many voices which make life possible, the many voices which have wisdom of what works for people generally, or maybe just works for one person, or may work for you. We get to choose what we can and cannot do today, with a clear head, more often than not. There are still rules of society, there are boundaries, there are things we do in our life, our affiliations which mean we behave in certain ways. But the greatest one for me is to be open, honest and willing, living truth. So if I go off beam and it doesn't seem truth to other people, they will inform me it's not true. I need to listen to something I may say or do which is not true. Humility to keep on learning. But we can only get there by expression of who we are today. So the serenity prayer, which helps me in any moment of any day, can do. I can change my attitudes and behaviour. Cannot do. I cannot change you, your attitudes or behaviour. And I keep on learning the wisdom around that. And sometimes the best I can be will be horrible for somebody else. And the best you can be will be horrible for somebody else. Even when we're doing our best, it can be the worst for another person. So tolerance and love become part of the equation. The serenity prayer to God, or in good conscience. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change. Nearly got it wrong. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change. Courage to change the things I can. And the wisdom to know the difference for me in the moment and just for today.